crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and it is Friday. So happy Friday to all of you guys who have been working all week and you made it this far. Gotta love a Friday, right? So we are doing Friday free play today, and the play for today, not to quote another crafter I really like online, we're going to do the Bokeh. I always want to say bouquet. The Bokeh technique. It's essentially this, what you see right here, where it looks like the circles or the stars. I want to show you that you can do it with other shapes besides just circles, but the circles seem to be the trendy thing right now. And so some of them look closer up and some of them look further away. I did a little bit with another background here. And then I tried one with stars. This was not my best one, but there are some layers there. And so I'm going to share with you how I did these, how you can do them, and a little bit of tips and tricks on how I got mine to turn out, especially if you don't have white ink. I brought out some paint too. So I didn't have any white ink. I know, like crazy, right, that I don't have white ink. But I had this in one of my turnarounds. It's actually Whisper White ink refill from Stampin' Up. So I found one of these StazOn pads that I had, and the ink was no longer good, and I'd never used it. So I just used this, and you can tell I put it all in one corner because I only need a little spot of it. So I'll probably put a little bit more. That's pretty wet. Maybe I won't have to. You can do that too, is what I'm saying. If you don't have that, you can put your refill straight down on a mat or something like that. So this is what I did. If you want an even whiter turnout, I suggest using paint. I believe this one was paint, that these turned out super white. And then I have this one under here that was the stars I showed you. The whitest one on top, these like 3 dots that I did, 4 dots, I actually literally used one of these gel pens, the white gel pens. Signo Uniball, my absolute favorite gel pen. And so there's 3 different ways I'm going to show you. One is just by using white ink, pigment ink if you have one, white acrylic paint if you have that, and this you can like judge how much you're putting on. So you can make it lighter, you can make it darker, depending, but it's going to be a little bit harder with the ink, I think. And then this one should always go on last. This is like if you can't get it to turn out really white, go ahead and try that. But I'll be showing you along the way how I came up with these. I do like the polka dots. I really like the stars. I think that's really pretty. So I think maybe I'll start off with, while I'm inking, just so I don't have to wipe off my Make Art Station, I'm going to go ahead and let's start with this route. I have paper underneath because I don't want it to go over. My sister's here. Welcome to everybody else too. I don't mean to be rude. So I'm going to use some of my brushes, and I'm going to bring them down so that you guys can see. This is my brush set. You can still get these from me. I still have them available, as well as the Art Station if you really like this one. Oh, and the reason why I don't have, Kathy Dunnahy's here. The reason why I don't have my hat on yet is because I let my hair air dry so that you could see how curly it is. I went and visited her and she thought it was pretty cool. So I have a lot of curl in the front, but I have a lot more curl in the back. So I'm going to show one more time. I'll have this beautiful natural curl back here. And that was, I just let it dry on its own. I didn't even put any product in it today. So, super cute. Really fun, right? Now, if I put my hat on, I'm going to have to take this sweatshirt off because it's gotten warmer as it's gotten, like, super hot outside. It's gotten a lot warmer down here. But I will put my hat on for those of you guys who want the full quality craft effect. And did you see the Instagram? Did you see the Instagram with Mr. Mouse in there? Put Mr. Mouse on there. We're going to go ahead and try the stars again. The only thing I didn't point out to you what you need is either your homemade stencil, which you're just going to take a piece of paper and punch a bunch of whatever shape you want to use, and get me out of the way here, or a regular stencil, any kind of stencil that you have that's got different sized shapes in it. And I'm going to use this one. We're going to do the stars again. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is pick out what you're going to use. Oh, Mary Beth Robinson, how nice of you. She used the super chat and gave a one-time donation to keep Quality Crafts going smoothly. Thanks, Mary Beth. Little hearts for you. Thanks for supporting us. And I'm going to go ahead and start. I think I'm going to do the same color. Actually, let's switch it up just a little bit. Let's try Mermaid Lagoon. Let's see if we can get something pretty cool from this. You want it to be, you want the background to be pretty dark. Let's see if we can get a decent look with this green and blue. So I'm going to start out with the blue. And it's up to you. You can do your background totally all one color. You can do mix and match colors. Try to pick colors that are, I don't think I really need the magnets yet. Try to use colors that complement each other, obviously. And then to get the color off your brush to move on to another color, just wipe it on another piece of paper here, or get yourself a little brush. This thing, one of these cloths. I find these to be a lot more helpful than the paper, really, but it's up to you. So other people use baby wipes and other things like that. Thanks, Maribeth. You're such a sweetheart. And then we're going to put on some pine needles. This is a nice dark color. This should turn out really well. And so I'm just going to fill in the white that the blue didn't fill in. So if you're using multiple colors or whatever kind of colors you're going to do, just pick something that blends well together so you don't get like a brown. I'm using oxide inks because pretty much any ink will go over the top of another ink. So it won't, technically I've never seen this really get super muddied, so I don't think you have to worry about that. And I'm going to add a little bit more blue back on the top again. What else do we have in here? Ah, Josie's here. Peggy, Elise. Hello, hello. See how the blue's like going over the top of the green again? I just really love how these inks react to things. It's just one of my super favorite things right now. So there we go. We've got our background. Have any of you guys tried this technique before? So the first thing you're going to want to do is just start out putting some down. Now, here's what I want to say ahead of time. What happens is everything looks really super white until that layer dries. And then it always dries lighter than you think it's going to dry. So what I would recommend starting out with is not very much. Never tried it. Yes, I have tried it. Cool, cool. In my experience, I would say start with a very light coat and just start rubbing your color white in there and let it be super light. Then if you can let it dry a little bit or speed up the drying, whatever you want to do, then go back and put another layer over it and then let it dry. And if you don't have the patience to let it dry twice, let it dry, do 2 layers, let it dry, come back to it, and then add your lightest color on top, and even do that layer twice, just because you want that top layer to pop out. Now, if you've got a really good full white ink, you should be able to do this. So I'm going to try with This one's super dry. There shouldn't be much left in it at all. I'm going to try with this first and see if I have any white left in this at all. So let's go ahead and put this on here and do a couple, see if there's any white that's going to come off of here. And there is. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. Probably not from that far away. But it is actually putting a little bit of white on there. It's clouding over that color. It's going to transfer some of that color with. This is where I should be using my magnets. So you're going to get a little green on there. You're going to get a little blue on there. Don't worry about that. Just go ahead and rub that over all your spots where you want those stars to show up. And then I'll give you the reveal so you can see what I've been doing. Okay. And that was with an almost dry one. Just because I want at least one really light base. So check that out. Super light, and it's going to continue to dry lighter. You want a base like that where you can't see it real well, because then the ones you put on top are going to be a lot darker. So I'm going to move this over again, and I'm going to stencil on a few more. You don't have to cover the whole thing. It's just totally up to you. I'm going to do like some, kind of like I did with this one where I went crosswise, and then I added stars on the sides. I'm just going to kind of do down the center kitty corner. So all I'm getting is just a little dusting, a little smattering of that white off of my dried. If you don't have a dry one that you've used previously, just tap on your ink and then tap it off on some workspace. Yes, this will work on top of any kind of ink. I just happen to have these off the bat. Somebody asked me, Elise said, will it work with regular distress inks? Yep, you can do your base, your under part, whatever you want it to be. It's totally fine. Okay, let's go ahead and lift that up. And then we've got a super nice light background. Now when we go for the next color, darker color, we're going to want to put these on so that some of them overlap. If you don't have them overlapping, in my opinion, it just doesn't turn out looking as nice. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a little bit. And that's why they recommend, if you've got a whole thing of white, just use a corners, because some of that green, some of that blue might get mixed in with your white a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and tap this off. I don't want it too dark yet. This is going to be my second layer. And now you should be able to see that white coming through. I'm not going to do all the stars. I'm going to try to be kind of picky with which ones I pick. And by the way, experiment and see how the ink and whatever you have works for you before you just jump in and go nuts. See how it works. Experiment. Play around with it. The first time around, you can see that I was kind of smearing it and going around. This is actually Stampin' Up's Whisper White refill that I threw into this empty pad. This time, because I want the color to be darker, I'm pouncing. So the color stays there more. So I'm not rubbing it in. I'm pouncing the white onto the stars. So let's pull that off and see how those turned out. See that? So now we've got a whole... Now, have you noticed how much lighter those stars underneath have gotten already? The ones that we just did are going to go light too. Okay. Now we can go ahead and we can do... play around and do other things too. Let's go ahead and try... I'll show you how the acrylic ink works. Or I mean the acrylic paint. We'll put a little bit over here. And a little dab will do you. You don't need much. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of that. I want it to go right here. So I'm going to go ahead and dab that on. That should be super extra white. Okay, and then maybe we'll do this one right here. So dab it gently, and then the ink will stay there. You can go over it again. And I've used up almost all that ink. I'm just going to go over the top of these again. And then let's pull that off and see what we have. So now we almost basically have like 3 different layers. Let's go ahead and put one of the super white ones over here on top of this other one. I think I got a little bit left here. There's always more ink left in there than you think there is. Like if you squish it and roll it, you'll see a whole bunch of ink come out of that. Alright, so we already have some in the background, some in the foreground. I got a little bit extra there. I'm just going to wipe it with my finger. You can go over that with your green. It'll disappear. So if you want to, like I said, if you want to really get a super white one that's not going to fade at all, go ahead and use your gel pen. I'm going to go ahead and show you that in a second. I was going to see if this would make that white blend in. It does a little bit. A splooge over here too. Beep, beep. Mostly because I left some of my ink on my stencil, so make sure you're wiping that off as well once in a while. I use my baby wipe to wipe these as well. Clean it off if you want. I'm going to go ahead and put that away. I have it in a stays on opaque white, but I never used it, so this is literally Whisper White. I should write that on there. Whisper White, you guys. Whisper White. Gotta find a good thing. I'm gonna wipe up this acrylic paint too. So I've shown you that you can do it with white pigment ink. You can do it with a white acrylic paint. And this is Whisper White. Not stays on. Stampin' Up. I'm just going to put Stampin' SU. So Whisper White Stampin' Up I poured inside there with my refill. And now we're going to go over it with, and if you're worried about it being wet, go ahead and just take a Kleenex or a paper towel or something and just dry that off a little bit before you restart. And I'm going to pick just a couple places where I want like a little white one to be super, super white. And I'm going to use my gel pen this time. And I'm making sure that it overlapped. Another thing, if you don't want lines in your gel pen writing, make sure that you're barely touching the surface and give that ball a chance to roll so you get that coverage that you want. So now that one is super white. Are we buffering? Are we good? We keep buffering. Anyway, I want to show you this now. That one's not going to fade, that white one. These other white ones may fade a little bit because they're paint. But that little gel one, it almost looks the same as the white ones, but on my end, it's whiter than the other two. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in another one. Right there, that looks good. The bigger you get, the harder it is to fill in with gel pen without seeing any of the little gel pen marks, so keep that in mind as a tip as well. You can always smudge it together with your finger when you're done, but you might get a finger mark. You might get a fingerprint like this if you just smudge it. And it's going to be a little bit lighter too. So I just smudged that in with my fingers so that it wouldn't show a whole bunch of little writing marks. And that turned out because now that's another layer with those other two. So you just want to keep building up, and then when you get to the point where you like it, then just leave it. And that's all there is to it, really. Yeah, I mean, most of them are made with the circles, and I love the circles, but why not try other things, right? So you can try any other shapes, really. So let's go ahead and do another background and try another shape. This time let's do... Let's do peacock feathers. Another thing about these brushes too is if you come off gently from the outside in, you get a lot more smoother of a mix. So gentle. If you take a big bunch of ink and you go right in the middle and try to do something, you might get a big old round darkened spot. You see that? So it's just up to you how you want yours to look. Right, let's go ahead and put that down and pick another one. I'd like to try this pattern right here, and I'm going to wipe this off real quick so I don't end up with a whole bunch of wet. Any inks that change with water, that react to water, you got to be aware of that you didn't leave anything wet. Or you'll be sad because it'll leave a mark there. There is a sale tomorrow, yes, Amelia. Thank you for asking. There's one tonight as well if you are a patron already. Patron only sale is tonight, right after this video at 6 until 7. Alright, let's see. I should have some of something left in here, I believe. Let's go ahead and try this. Get some white. You'll be able to tell on here why it's so important to have a dark background, because I think these might be a little bit hard to see. And I'm not going to do all the squares, I'm just going to do some of them. See that? So that's our first layer. Tarita, I switched it to the Whisper White because my StazOn was dried up and I had it for so long that the ink no longer worked. So I threw out the ink and used this because I didn't have any other way of getting a white ink. So I thought, well, let's see what I can do with what I have in my stash, because I'm sure there are other people out there that are wondering the same thing. Like maybe they're like, well, I'd like to do that technique, but I don't have white pigment ink. So you can do white pigment ink. You can use refills. You can use white acrylic paint, and you can use gel pen. I'm sure there's other things too, but you can use whatever you've got around your place. So right now I'm just rubbing on some of whatever was left over in here. A little bit of that white. You can see that light layer. What is the most white ink on the current market? I'm not sure what that means. What is the most white ink? Do you mean the best white ink? I bet Penny can answer that. We were looking that up the other day. What was the best one? I'm trying to remember what they said. I always had a little drop, a little eye drop, you know, little cat's eye one that I kept around, and I loved it, and it's disappeared. I don't know where it is. Right now I'm working on my second layer, so I'm taking up that, I'm no longer rubbing, I'm now tapping, and I'm trying to find ones that will layer over the top of the other ones underneath. I should be using my things. This is such a just a godsend, this tool, but I'm so used to having to hold everything down and not have one that I have to like train myself to do things differently now, to take advantage of that so I don't have to work my hands so hard. There's some of our second layer. Now this is going to be a lot more, seems to me, few and far between. You could even go bigger with your shapes. You could go super big if you wanted to. Just got to remember that if you fall in between your stencil into the next one, then you might want to color that one if you don't want that look to be there. I've gone over in a couple of mine. Rubbing for the first round, and then tapping for the second to make it darker. See, and there I go again. If I just do that, I won't have to work so hard. Okay, so tap. And then if they're drying, go back in and tap again. If this is your upper layer and you want it whiter. I think that one. Yeah, they seem to be getting whiter. They will fade some, so you want to just be aware of that. So that kind of looks like, it reminds me of sprinkles. That could be a sprinkle background to a cupcake card. It's cute. I know you're probably going to want to let that dry. And I know some people asked about me being able to get the new Tim Holtz stuff, and I am working on that. I believe that they do want to work with me, but I have to wait until the final phone call because the big boss has to okay me for getting that product. But I'm super excited because if you want some of the new Tim Holtz stuff like I do, that's coming. This turned out really cute. Let's go ahead and, well, first of all, let's go ahead and clean that off. Set that aside. Do you see how you get, when you wipe off that ink, you get that a little bit of that residue? If you want to save those, you can, but I'm not gonna. It's just my leftover piece. We've got just a few minutes left before I switch off and go and do the patron only sale. So I'm going to move this back out and we're going to make a card with one of these. I hang mine on 2 nails on the side of my desk so that it's always there when I need it and it doesn't take up any space at all. I really like this one. Let's go ahead and use this one. I'm going to cut a little bit off of it. Okay, then I'm going to cut a little bit off of one of these card bases so they go together. And I need a blue piece of paper. Let's see if I've got one that same color. Uh-oh. Oh, so close. Yep, that'll work. That will totally work. Okay. Alrighty, so we'll put this one on here. That one is cut down so that there should be an edge when we do this one. Yep, there will. So I'm going to cut this one down to 5.5 by 4.25 so that can go on our card base. I need some more paper for it. I used up a lot of paper today. Sheesh. Alright. Card base put together. Yeah, whatever other kind of shapes you guys have too. I've got tons of them, but try what other shapes that you have. And if you do, I would love, 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 always. We don't put up the album anymore, but put straight out on the community group page. Not page, the community group. Wow, I wonder why this one is so... Did I cut it wrong? Oh, it'll still show. We could probably even cut some of that off of there. That's interesting. Must have been off by a little 1/8 of an inch or so. Oh, raindrops would be amazing. Who said that? Connie Johnson? What an excellent idea. Post them on the wall in the community group so that everyone can see what you guys came up with. So that is a super duper layered card there. Very sturdy. I like my cards sturdy. I think it's really fun. That is really cool. We gotta find something to go over the top of that. That would be really neat. As we've got a little bit of time left. And I got something. Just the thing. This. I think if we put this in there together and run it through the Gemini, and we'll do it with white. Let's try this. Let's see what happens with this, because I haven't used this in forever. I'm going to tape this down. See what we get. Do I have cut side up? Cut side up. All right. If you guys don't have a Gemini and you want to cut really intricate dies, the Gemini is the way to go. I was watching something on a replay of HSN, and she was saying, if you get this dye, whatever dye it was they were selling, don't even bother getting it if you don't have a Gemini. And I totally side with her. There we go. We've got stars on there. And if we wanted to, we could take the middle piece and we could color this a different color to go in there. And pop it in. Oops, this way. Nope. That way. I lost a little piece right here though. But I'm not good. I'm going to let that stand out and we could pop that on there. That's a fun dye. And so since we don't have a lot of the mermaid, or the mermaid lagoon, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this. And get my, let's see, what time is it? I always got to be watching the time every other week so I don't go behind on all my other stuff. I'm going to take a brush here. I'm just going to take a little bit of this. And I'm going to try to just give the insides of the stars a little color. So that they match the cutter underneath. Shouldn't have grabbed such a large brush, I think. Gotta get some of that water off of there so I get more color. So there I've got some blue. This would make a really cool shaker if we popped it up. I don't have time to make a whole shaker though, so let's just move this over and we can try to pop this up with the rest of it. Give it a shot. I got another little ring of stuff that I had that I can cut down for this. Hey, Melanie. I could make these really tiny and go all the way around the outside. Or you could put on a piece of vellum underneath it too, that would work. So if you're watching me and you're new to this kind of thing, this isn't the best way to pop this up. I'm just doing it for the heck of it so that it looks good. Because I want to have somewhat of a finished card here. But this is not the right way to do it. And my stars are still wet, so they're not sticking. But anyway, since we've got 3, I think we could semi-pop it up here. Decide where I want these to go. Okay. So pretty. I think that's another thing too, is if we needed those things, and you could, if you could either have a punch or weigh a die or something to cut out stars, you could put white cardstock stars on the top as your very whitest layer if you wanted, and even pop dot them up for an extra layer, and then it would really look like the things are coming right at you, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do with that. Unfortunately, if people didn't watch till this point, they won't hear that fun little tidbit, but they might figure it out on their own. So that's always fun. You don't always have to be told how to do something, because figuring things out by yourself, like Jamie said, go nuts. You know, it's always fun when you figure something out and someone else didn't have to tell you about it. So here is the card. We don't always get a finished card, but I had extra minutes, so we did one. Oh, and by the way, that one came with a little thing, so when I put that ink on, I just kind of used a little squeegee to get that in there. We did this one today. I like that. I'm going to put a cupcake on that and make it a birthday card. And then here's a couple that I did beforehand that you probably saw on the thumbnail, or maybe you saw it with Mr. Mouse. Join me on Instagram, by the way. I'm instagram.com/koalitycrafts. I'm going to try to do a lot more posting on Instagram of things, so that will be fun. So that's what we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget that tonight is the 1 hour patron only sale. And then tomorrow for the public, anybody can come, invite a friend, tell your crafty peeps to go ahead and join us. It's best to join us in the community group because it's commitment and drama free. You want to make sure that you join that one, because you don't have to commit to doing anything, even though there's swaps and like you can post these kind of things in there, and it's just a fun place to be. Very friendly. We can help you with all kinds of questions and whatnot, but that's where I disseminate a lot of my information. So if you're wondering, like, why isn't Jen live tonight, or you know, is she gone for the 4th, like, are there going to be videos then? That's where I disseminate a lot of that information. So I want to make sure that you're aware, and that you're not, you know, dropping off because you all of a sudden everything got like super blurry, because you're not being able to figure things out. And if you ever get lost, just think koalitycrafts.com. If you go to koalitycrafts.com, you will find the store where all my adhesives are always there. There might be other products being added. You can always let me know in the lives that you need adhesives and stuff, and I'll get those into your bins as well. There's a link to our blog, which tends to be a little bit not as active right now. So if anybody wants to be a blogger, you're welcome to join us and have a stab at it and have fun with it. That's not my most favorite thing in the world to do, even though I will take the pictures and stuff like that. But I hope you guys aren't blurred out like this one. Like, this is making me crazy if I had to watch that. Yeah, mine's super blurred. Go ahead and just, let's just end it. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time at the sale. And if not, I better make sure I have all this stuff right, because last time it did not end well. 1/2-inch double-sided tape. I think those were all sold out. But see us tomorrow and ask me. Always, and if you're looking for something, private message me. Don't be afraid to do that. Private message Penny. Okay, because she knows a lot about what's going on. And I can't wait to see you guys next video.